Jesus said, "Enter by the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the way that leads to destruction, and there are many who go by it. Because narrow is the gate and difficult is the way which leads to life, and there are few who find it." Notice there that Jesus used the phrase, "the way." For our gospel reading, we heard Jesus say, "I am the way, the truth, and the life." Notice that phrase, "the way." In the reading we just heard from the book of Acts, we heard Christianity referred to as the way. And so when we first meet Paul in the book of Acts, though, he is persecuting Christians, and it says that Paul wants to go to see if he can find any followers of the way and put them in prison. This is an example in Christianity of Christianity being called the way. And in the book of Acts, Christianity is called the way 9 different times in the early part of Acts. And so we know that at least among some Christians, they were called followers of the way. And the way, according to Jesus, leads to life. He is the way. Now, the word that is used for the way is a word that means a road or a path, but it is a word that means a road or a path on which you undertake a journey. And a journey means a long road, a long path. So the word there translated the way means that you are traveling on a path that leads from one place to another. And it's a long, long journey. It's going to take you a long time to get from here to there. And it's a long way. You're going somewhere that's far off. That's one of the earliest characterizations of what Christianity is. And it is one of the earliest characterizations of what it means to live as a Christian. Your life as a Christian is a journey where you start at one point and you follow the way. And after a long time, you end up somewhere else. And the somewhere else it leads to, according to Jesus, is abundant life. He said, "I have come that they might have life, and they might have it more abundantly." So being a Christian means traveling down a long road that leads to abundant life. And this ties into a concept that we find in the book of 1 Peter. The book of 1 Peter says, we are sojourners and pilgrims. Sojourners means that you are a foreigner living in this land. You're not from here. It would be like if you were from Spain and you were living here. You would be a sojourner in the United States. You're from Spain. You're a citizen of Spain. You're just living in the United States. You're a sojourner. And that's the same thing with the word pilgrim. Normally we associate the word pilgrim with the pilgrims who came over here from England. But the word pilgrim just means someone living in a foreign country. People living outside their native country. And you see, that's how 1 Peter describes us. We are here, but this is not our native land. We are living in a foreign country. We do not belong here. Now, the implications of that, if you really think about it, are profound. We've talked for the past couple of weeks about what we are. And we've seen how we are spiritual beings in a body, but this body is not me. I am a spiritual being with an existence independent of this. This is exactly what he's saying. We are spiritual beings, temporarily here, but this is not where we came from. We came from somewhere else. And so we are not home here. Our home is somewhere else. And we are on a journey here. We are here to be on a journey. We are here not that we belong here, and not that we are from here, but we are here to be on a journey. But yet so many times we don't think of Christianity in that way. We think of being a Christian as a destination we've reached. You know, we ask people, are you a Christian? When did you become a Christian? Or whatever. We usually think that when somebody becomes a Christian, they have arrived. If when you become a Christian, you've become a Christian. You have. We usually don't think of being a Christian as going down a road, as a long process that leads to somewhere else. But really that's what being a Christian is. It's going down a long road somewhere else. And you do not arrive at the destination until this life is over. This life is not the destination. As long as we're still in this body, on this earth, we're still on the journey. We're going down the road that leads to the destination. I want us to stop for a minute and think about what it really means that the Christian life is a journey. And the best way I can think of to do that is use an example. I've used examples of traveling a lot before, because I think that it is in traveling, in seeing unfamiliar places, meeting different people, that our minds are so broadened. Imagine that you live in this area your whole life. You've been to Asheville, you've been to Spartanburg, of course you've been to Charlotte, you've been to the beach a couple of times, but that's about it. And now you have to move to Los Angeles. You don't have any choice. Your job is sending you there. You've got to go. And you're going to drive. It's 2,300 miles, and they say it takes 35 hours. That's not including stops. The best way is to go up 70-40, you get to 26, then go up till you get to 40. And you stay on 40 the whole way. Wanda and I came out of the desert one time in Southern California. That was Interstate 40. I said, oh, we're at Asheville. This is Southern California. But anyway, you get all the way there on Interstate 40. You'll travel across the Blue Ridge Mountains, and for the first time in your life, you'll get to see what's on the other side of those mountains. For the first time in your life, if you want to look towards the mountains, you'll look towards the east instead of the west. You go through Nashville, you'll see Memphis. When you get to Memphis, it's so wide it's hard to believe that's actually a river. Get into Arkansas, cross over to Oklahoma. You might see, I don't know if they still have them or not, they did 45 years ago, the things pumping up and down. See them in people's backyards, oil well, pumping up oil. And you go around and you'll see this big pastures, thousands of acres. There won't be hardly anything growing there, but you'll see cattle scattered through there. You'll see a windmill, a stock tank there, and a windmill going that's pumping the water for the cattle. You'll go on through the Texas Panhandle. You get the Texas Panhandle, you think, well, it's getting foggy up ahead. keep driving, you figure out, no, it's not fog, it's a dust storm. And then you'll go on, the landscape will be so flat, you'll think it's 2 miles down here, it'll end up 10. Because we're used to this and this around here, and out there it's just straight. Oh, it's 2 miles, no, it's 10 or 15. There won't be much traffic on the road at all, even on the interstate. And then you decide you'll do some sightseeing. You get off the interstate for a while, get on a secondary road and drive an hour, and you never see another car. Then you get back on the interstate. You cross a bridge, it says Japal River. There's nothing in there. Right. And so when you stop for gas, you ask somebody, why did that river dry? They say, oh, it's only a river when it rains. Then you'll skirt into New Mexico, into the beautiful golden desert southwest. You'll skirt the Navajo Reservation, the Hopi Reservation, the Zuni Reservation. You'll go into the desert of Arizona. You'll stop at a Sonic to eat lunch. And when you're sitting there at the table at Sonic, you know, you outside at Sonic, you'll see tumbleweed blowing by. In Arizona, you'll also go into some national forest areas. As you begin to get on to California, you'll skirt the Mojave Desert. Go on into California, go on to Los Angeles, and you'll see the Pacific Ocean. For the first time in your life, when you're standing looking at the ocean, you won't be looking east, you'll be looking west. So that's your journey. Think of all the things you would see along the way that you've never seen before. Think of all the new things you'd see. You'd see areas of the country that look much different than this, where people are different, they talk different, they eat different food, houses look different. You'd go through areas that are practically non-populated. You'd be on the interstate and drive 30 miles from one exit to another. You'd also go through places like Memphis, where the population is crowded, and millions of people live there. But on your trip, every few minutes, it would be something you've never seen before. And it would be a wonderful journey, seeing all these things. But when you got to Los Angeles, you might think, well, I've seen all many. Well, what if instead of living in Shelby, you lived in Bangor, Maine, and it's taken that same journey to Los Angeles? It's about the same distance from Bangor, Maine to Los Angeles as it is from here. But they say instead of taking 35 hours to drive it, it takes 48. And the reason it takes 48 is you're going to go through congested areas like Buffalo, Cleveland, Chicago, Omaha, Denver, and Las Vegas. You see, on that journey from Bangor, Maine, you'd go through a different part of the country altogether. You'd see completely different people, completely different scenery, people with different lifestyles. You would still end up in Los Angeles, but your journey and what you saw along the way would be much different. What you see along the way and the experiences you have to get to Los Angeles is determined by where you start from. The point is that you were on a journey from where you used to be to where you are now, and you experienced things you had never seen. Your horizons had been greatly expanded. What if you lived here all of your life and never had any idea what was on the other side of those mountains? You'd never really developed, never grown, never expanded. So what if, though, for example, you had to move to Los Angeles and you said, well, I am not driving. I am not going to see all that stuff. I'm just going to fly. So you go over here to the airport in Charlotte, and you get on the plane and you fly out You would have had no new experiences. You would have seen no new things. You would have met no new people. There would have been no growth and no development. You see, in order for you to have had the growth and development, you had to be willing to go on the journey. And along the way, you had to be willing to look out, to get out of your car, walk around in new places, talk to people, look around and see what you saw. You see the difference in the journey. You reach the destination either way, whether you flew or drove. But there was no growth and no development along the way. Now, we've talked for the past several weeks how what each one of us is a spiritual entity inside a physical body. That we have a spiritual existence independent of our body. That's what a lot of people in Christianity call the soul. And that just means that I am not my body. I am independent of the body. We've also raised the possibility that we have had this existence on a spiritual level before we became incarnate as human beings on earth. Can you think of your life on earth as like going on this journey to Los Angeles? Can you think of your time on earth as a period of development where you learn and grow from the experiences you have in this life? And maybe that's what the New Testament is talking about when it calls our life here a journey. After all, it does tell us that we are not from here, that we do not belong here. We are foreigners here. You know, when I look back on my life, I see that it has in fact been like a journey of learning and development. Around every bend, there has been something different. And I've been very fortunate in my life to be able to see new things. Things which have led me to come to new understandings. I've been very fortunate in that I've been able to have experiences from which I have grown and developed. Along the way, I have never maintained the same attitude, never maintained the same outlook. I have changed. The way I look at things has changed. The way I understand the world has never remained the same. It has truly been a journey of learning and understanding. This year I would have graduated from high school 50 years ago, and I'm a different person than I was when I was 18. And my faith has changed a lot over the years. My faith over the years has been shaped by the different experiences I have had, by all the different things I have seen over the years, by all the different things I have observed over the years. And I can tell you when that began. It began with my second roommate in college. Now, I was raised, of course, to go to church, and I always did. But my roommate would not go to church. So every Sunday when I would get ready to go to church, I'd always invite him. I'm not going. So I said, well, you know, if you don't want to go to this church, it's, you know, where would you like? No, I'm not going in. And then I said, look, why don't you want to go to church? And he said, well, I'll tell you. You see, his father had been killed in a drowning accident at the beach 2 years earlier. And this guy had been brought up in church. And he said, when Dad was killed, I asked those people at church why that happened. And he said, they told him that it was God's will and God's plan, and he should not question it. And he said, I don't have time for that God in my life. I didn't know what to tell him. I had never had anything really bad happen in my life at that time. I was 19 years old, and my life had gone fairly smoothly, you know, nothing more than your usual teenage stuff, but nothing bad like that. So the next time I was home, I called the minister in our church, Olin Wagner, and I told him what had happened. And I said, I didn't know what to say. So that was the first incident in my life that really made me start thinking about my faith. And those things have piled up over the years. So my faith today is a result of all these experiences and things that I've seen. And I see things much differently today than I did when I was 18. Some of those have been quick. Some of them have been things like that where he says what he said to me about his daddy dying, you know. Like all of a sudden I thought, well, you know. But some of them were like over a long period of time, more gradual. I changed the way I looked at things, the way I understood things, not because of anything I thought of, but because of looking around and through the experiences gradually over time. I bet if you look back on your life, you'd see the same thing. I think that's why the Bible describes our life as a Christian as a journey, a road we go down to. The road will be filled with new experiences, new things, and we'll be changed by these experiences we have. And that's the key, you see. We'll be changed by the experiences we have. Maybe that's why we're here, to go on that journey. A journey of growth, development, learning, and understanding. You see, one of the biggest mistakes people make in their lives as Christians is to think they have already arrived. And they're all over the place. These Christians, that they've seen it all, they understand it all. You can find them in a lot of churches around here, find them in a lot of pulpits around here. They have arrived. There's no need for them to look around. There's no need for them to develop. There's no need for them to grow because they have reached the goal. If we refuse to go on the journey, we're stuck where we were. If we think we've already arrived, we'll never grow and develop. And if we think we have already arrived, we will never find abundant life. Sometimes people ask, why am I here? Have you ever asked that? Let me just think about it. I think everybody's. Maybe the reason we're here is that we are spiritual beings on a journey of growth, learning, and development. And maybe that's the purpose of our earthly lives. That certainly would explain where the book of 1 Peter says that we are foreigners here on a journey on our way to somewhere else. So maybe the purpose of this time here is a journey of growth and development.